The content of this video has been developed in compliance with the Canadian Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, IRPA, as well as IRCC rules and policies. The information is not intended to constitute legal advice, and information may change without notice. Always refer to the IRCC website for the most up-to-date information or contact your international student advisor at Conestoga College. International students whose programs of studies include any kind of work experience, field placement, or co-op as part of their curriculum must hold a valid co-op work permit in addition to their valid study permit. A co-op work permit is required whether the work experience is paid or unpaid. The co-op work permit is restricted to employment that is an essential part of the program of studies and required to graduate. A co-op work permit cannot be used to perform any other job that is not required by the program of studies. The co-op work permit has no limit in the number of hours students can work as long as the work is part of their program. International students are strongly encouraged to apply for their co-op work permit at the time they apply for their student permit to avoid processing delays, or they can apply separately if they already have a valid study permit. Both a valid co-op work permit and a valid study permit are required for the work placement. The co-op work permit has 5 areas where information is disclosed. The title of the document indicates that this is a work permit. At the top right, the permit displays information to identify the document itself. Client information shows information about the permit holder. Additional information shows information about the permit itself. Under Conditions and Remarks, it shows standard conditions that everybody must comply with. Sometimes there are specific conditions and/or remarks that imply restrictions in the use of the co-op work permit. Students must always look carefully so they always respect the conditions of their co-op work permit. This is important information for students with a work placement that requires contact with vulnerable sectors of society, such as children or the elderly, hospital patients, or outpatients. Not all international students are obliged to provide a valid medical exam with their co-op work permit applications. However, if your program has a work component that requires contact with a vulnerable sector of society, you are, without exception, required to provide an immigration medical exam when applying for your co-op work permit. If you do not submit the required medical exam, your co-op work permit may be processed with special conditions that will prevent you from working in these fields. The immigration medical exam must be performed by a physician that has been approved by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, or the IRCC. Students can find an approved doctor by using the tool available on the IRCC webpage. Students in these programs must confirm that their co-op work permit does not have any special condition preventing them from working in these areas. If they do, they must contact their international student advisor immediately. The immigration medical exam is generally valid for 1 year from the date of the medical exam. However, the following temporary policy was announced in October 12, 2022 regarding co-op work permits applying from within Canada. This policy is valid until October 6, 2024. Temporary policy. If you apply for your co-op work permit from within Canada, and your initial immigration medical exam was taken more than 1 year ago, you may be exempt from completing other immigration medical exams if you meet all of the following conditions. You already live in Canada, you are applying for the co-op work permit from within Canada, you completed your previous immigration medical exam in the last 5 years. The IRCC found your immigration medical exam to indicate low risk or no risk to public health or public safety. This does not authorize re-entry. This statement is present on all immigration documents. It indicates that your co-op work permit is not a valid travel document and cannot be used to re-enter Canada. If you leave Canada, you must have valid travel documents, including your passport and visa or electronic travel authorization, when required, to re-enter the country. Reminders. As an international student, if your program requires any kind of work experience, paid or unpaid, you will need a valid co-op work permit as well as a valid study permit. You cannot start your work placement if you do not hold a valid co-op work permit. As an international student, you are encouraged to apply for your co-op work permit as soon as possible, even if your co-op placement is optional. Talk to your international student advisor if your program has a required or optional work component, and you do not have a co-op work permit.